This is a very serious condition that is becoming more and more prevalent amongst children.
Hi guys, welcome back to As We Speak. As we dive into the new academic year and we're trying to work our schedules, balance the academics with the extracurriculars, whether we like it or not, our kids are under pressure to perform and to outperform. Let's throw in some social media and technology, and young people today are leading seriously stressful lives. So today I wanted to talk about teenage depression. It's a taboo topic that either some parents don't know anything about and some parents don't want to acknowledge. And while we continue to remain in denial about what is a very serious condition or simply discount it as a mental weakness that our children have that we'll work on, in the background is a very different reality with very devastating consequences. So to talk to me about what I believe is a rather large mental health crisis, I have here with me the lovely, highly experienced Linda Sakr, a counselling psychologist at the Health Bay Clinic in Dubai. Thank you, Linda, for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
So Linda, how real is this problem? When does it start? And are boys more prone to it than girls?
This is a very serious condition that is becoming more and more prevalent amongst children, very young, tweens, teens. It's becoming, we're seeing a lot of it in Dubai. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of, there is a lot of influence that's going on external that causes depression.
Right.
And you asked me about prevalence, girls, boys. Statistically speaking, it's a lot higher amongst women and female population.
Right.
But there is a lot of, especially with the teenage population, because males are not as communicative, it can go unnoticed. So there's a high rate of males that are withdrawn and depressed that aren't as, that we don't see as much. But because women talk more, we think they're okay. But statistically speaking, women are the ones that go through it a lot more.
But when you hit your teens, you're saying it's the boys who go through it more.
The boys, yes. I see it with both, but I see a lot of boys going through it and they just end up withdrawing and just... And they
not
think,
talking about it.
Yes, it's a boy and he's not very communicative is what they put it down to, but in fact there's a lot more going on.
Why is depression such a taboo topic?
The thing is, it's a cultural as well, this whole thing like, oh, my child's got depression, there's a whole stigma around it, that a lot of parents, what they end up doing is beating themselves up, blaming themselves, I caused this depression, which is not necessarily the case. It could be sometimes because the parents neglected the child or the parent criticizes the child or is too controlling. Yes, that could lead to depression, but more often than not, it's not the case. If the parent's in denial, then the chances of the child getting better and improving are a lot less. When the parent takes ownership, you don't have to go and advertise the fact that your child has depression, but just kind of awareness and talking about it, seeking help, doing something about it is really going to help both the parent and the child in this case, rather than... But like I said, this part of the world, it's still in its infancy. We're getting there, we're working on it. It's still... But awareness is key.
Is it true that depression is just genetic?
Depression is genetic for the most part. It is, we see it running in families and there's nothing that can be done to prevent it. It is what it is. Like you'll have two children that will be exposed to the exact same incident and one might get depressed and the other one might not because one is more prone to depression than the other. And a lot of the times they're not necessarily prone to depression, but they're exposed to situations like a bereavement in the family or parents getting divorced or things like that that can trigger symptoms of depression.
What's the difference between depression as a tween and depression as a teen?
Mm-hmm. See, the thing is with teenagers, we always think, oh, well, they're moody teenagers. So we almost think of it as an inevitable rite of passage when it comes to teens, which it's not. With tweens, they're happy-go-lucky, they're younger, the hormones haven't kicked in, they're still kind of living their lives. So when a tween withdraws, it becomes more alarming that we think, oh, we need to check in what's going on. Are they becoming shy? Are they self-conscious? We start to question. But with teens, we kind of take it for granted. So that's the difference in terms of picking up on it.
Right. So what can we do to alleviate the symptoms of a tween who's depressed so that that tween doesn't carry on to becoming a depressed teenager, for example?
Yes. It's very important to pick up on it earlier on, that change in behavior, and to really, for the parent to be connected and really try and understand what is going on with the tween. Are there any issues at school? Any issues with their peer group, bullying? Really try and understand, what is this about? Why is this happening? And speak to the teachers, really try and find out, get to the bottom of it. Prevention is always better than cure, so it's important to really try and make sense of the situation. And for the parent to remain engaged with the child and try and understand and accept, and rather than criticize and judge what's going on. Oh, snap out of it is a very common thing that parents say. It's not as simple as snap out of it. There is a procedure that needs to be worked on, it needs to be looked at, it needs to be dealt with. So I think it's very important to give guidance and understanding and direction in order to be able to overcome this.
And sometimes they can't snap out of it.
They need to seek professional help.
They do.
It's not about parents helping their kids out of it. Parents can support, but they can't get to the root of it.
Right.
So if seeking professional help, someone who's specialized in depression can really help the tween or teen understand what is going on with them, recognize what's happening, making sense of it, giving them alternative ways of thinking, just giving them sort of coping strategies and different ways of, because usually with people with depression, they have negative thinking patterns and that affects how they feel. So really making sense of these patterns, where are they coming from, what are they about, understanding where's the evidence that this is going to happen? Has it happened before? Generating alternative responses, other ways of looking at the situation, reframing.
Yeah.
They love to catastrophize everything. So really decatastrophizing everything and just kind of minimizing, in the sense that it's not in their minds it's the end of the world, but really getting them to see alternative way of being. So we notice it for a minimum of 2 weeks for it to be diagnosed as a proper condition.
Next week, we talk about the signs, symptoms, and contributors to teenage depression. So stay tuned and see you next week.
We'll be sharing Linda's details in the description below. Please like, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye.